All I had to do to replicate Devon's results was get an environment set up on a cloud instance with the right hardware and run literally 2 commands.
All we had to do was run 2 commands, CJ.
Today we are talking about AI replacing software engineers. First of all, I need to clarify, I'm not talking about Devon. We're going to talk about AI in general replacing software engineers, but first I have to say, Devon is nothing you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about Devon. Some facts to know when you're wondering if I'm right about that. When it first released, it let you upload unlimited files even if you're not logged in, and people were uploading like the entire NES library. Another factor is that they don't even like log errors at all. Like they don't do proper error handling.
Whenever I see a site that categorically does not handle errors at all, to me that says whoever is writing this did it in one of 2 ways. One, they had to rush it out so fast due to external pressures that they cut all corners. Or 2, they are an amateur.
Another thing is that they didn't build like any of their website themselves. Like every single thing is outsourced. Like their sign up page is a freaking Google Doc. Like they couldn't use one database table.
They couldn't even build one database table. If they at least used Terso or PlanetScale or any of the online data or managed databases and just put stuff in a table with an auto-incrementing ID, like that's actually easier to manage than Google Docs. Google Docs is hard to get right.
And then also apparently their demo where it's showing like Devon debugs using print statements, apparently the errors that it was debugging were errors that it introduced itself.
Devon isn't fixing code that it found on the internet. Devon isn't fixing code that a customer asked it to fix. Devon is fixing code that it generated with errors in it. And that's not at all what most of the people who watch this video will think that it's doing.
It's not debugging the code, it's debugging its own errors, apparently. And then if you look at the demos, the interface in those demos is nothing like what's on their page where you apparently can try it out, although it doesn't even work, and then you just enter your email and they never get back to you, apparently.
Oh my goodness, let me get this straight. I can't use this until they approve that I can use it. Your access has been requested. They have a preview.devon and you can't even preview it. This feels like a scam. Look at their website. They can't use Devon to make a better one? This is a really shitty website. If you had an AI engineer that could actually be useful, you would have a better website.
So you don't have to worry about Devon. But what about AI in general? I hear a lot of people talking about how, yes, there will still be some software engineers, but a team of 20 will now be replaced by like one engineer who's using a bunch of AI agents, because what they're saying is that if the AI agents make you more effective, they let you write more lines of code more quickly, then you're going to need fewer employees, right? So what used to be this giant industry will now apparently become just a few people with AI agents. That could happen. The thing is, anytime someone tries to predict the future, they tend to be wrong. But me personally, I don't really think that follows the trends of history. Let me explain. Have there been other times in history where there's a huge advancement where now you can get way more code written with less effort? Yes, think about the development of high-level languages. When Java came out, and previously you had to program in C and C++, where it takes longer to write the same amount of code. What about when you had to program even before C or C++ was invented? Maybe you had to like write an assembly or something. Whenever there was more abstraction, we didn't see fewer engineers. It seems like it was the opposite. What about when IDEs came out? Like when we had PyCharm, when we have NetBeans, all these, when they came out, they could make you more efficient because it points out the errors as you're writing it and it does autofills. When those came out, did we need fewer software engineers? No, it seems like it increased more. It seemed like as engineers became more productive, it seems like we wanted more engineers. What the heck is going on here? The answer is that the number of engineers that are needed is not static. So the amount of work to be done is not just a fixed number. The amount of work to be done depends on how profitable a project is. Think about it. The golden rule I say in every video, if you want to predict what a company will do, what will maximize profit? So the amount of engineers you need is not a fixed number based on a certain amount of work. It's based on, can an extra engineer increase profits? And that depends on how much code you can generate per engineer. Think about this. Imagine a project that makes a certain amount of money, right? Well, when you're deciding whether to approve that project, you have to decide how expensive would it be to complete it. If the project makes a certain amount of money, but it would take so many engineers to complete it, that project may not be approved because it's too expensive. But imagine if you introduce an AI that dramatically increases the productivity of an engineer. Now, things that were unfeasible to implement, you can actually potentially do it because each engineer is so productive that even if it doesn't make that much money, it's worth doing because it's pretty cheap to do. What I'm trying to say is that don't think of the amount of work to be done as a fixed amount. The amount of work to be done depends on, will it generate a profit? And the more efficient an engineer gets, the more crazy stuff you can do in a certain amount of time. So a lot of things that were just impossible, that it was like it would take too many hours, it doesn't get approved. Now with an AI, you could potentially do more per second, and now you can get enough done to justify the project. Here's another domain we've seen this. Think about computer memory. A long time ago, 1 megabyte of RAM was a shitload. 1 megabyte of RAM was a lot. And people used to say that, like, we'll never need more than like 4 megabytes of RAM. That like once we get technology up to like 4 megabytes of RAM, we'll never need any more. But what happened? What happened was that as we increased memory, we just decided to do more with it. So when we increased what we can do, what we did is we just decided that we would do more. When we increased memory, we just used more memory. There's a saying that anytime there's an improvement in computer performance, web developers will use up that improvement within 2 years. So it's like when you can do more, you just end up doing more, and things that weren't previously feasible, now they are. Now, like these crazy virtual reality things that like nobody would ever have time to program that. Like think about the book, The 3-Body Problem, like the world of 3-body. How would you ever like make such a realistic simulation of the universe? Well, if you have AIs to help you, what was previously unfeasible now might be feasible. So I don't agree with the theory that if something becomes more efficient, you hire fewer of them. That's true in some industries if the amount of work is fixed. But in an industry that's all about just generating profit, then if you can do something more efficiently, then things that weren't worth it before will now be worth it. And that's why I don't really think you have to worry that much about AI. Interest rates, though, did screw us over, and I have a video on that. Hope you have a good day.